All right, good evening to everyone. We're going to get started. So I want to welcome everybody this evening to our September general meeting. We're going to call the meeting to order. We have the acceptance of the council attendance, moment of silence, acceptance of the agenda, rules of order, follow-up from the August 5th general meeting. We're going to provide an update on the COVID vaccine passport. I will provide an update on the quarantine. We're going to provide a presentation on the AMBE COVID-19 protocols. We're going to provide the community with an update and overview on the council portfolios. So those have been assigned. We will give an update on September 30th, the Truth and Reconciliation, that day, National Day, that's coming up next week. The committee will discuss some of the events that will be happening in the community. We have a presentation this evening from a gentleman by the name of Nathan Martin, who represents Rogers Communications. We'll be doing a presentation. We'll actually have that presentation first. We'll review the questions that have been received. We have a resolution, and then we have announcements. So that is the agenda for this September 23rd general meeting. If I could have a mover to accept the agenda as read. Moved by Tim, second by Dwayne. All in favor? All right, thank you very much. So all members of council are in attendance. So I do want to take a moment, as we have traditionally done, take a moment to acknowledge the members that we have lost in the last month. As we know, we continue to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic, and unfortunately, as we continue to move through, we have lost some members for various reasons, various illnesses or what have you, but it's important that we pay tribute to them. So at this moment, I'm going to ask for a moment of silence to recognize the members of our community that have passed away in the last month. All right, thank you very much. So on behalf of myself and the Mohawk Council and our council, we extend our deepest condolences to all those families in grieving that are grieving from loss of a loved one. So this evening's meeting, we'll go through the rules of order. So we are using the Zoom system. We're starting at 6 p.m. this evening, and we'll proceed to approximately 8 p.m. depending on the time. We'll take a look at where we are in the agenda, and if we need to extend, we will do that. Since the pandemic has started, we have been using the Zoom system to host our meetings. I do want to say that we continue to regularly discuss and debate whether or not we will go back to in-person meetings. We do that about every month before the general meeting and district meetings are set. So as you know, we have seen a bit of an uptick in cases in and around in our community. So these are considerations that we take, as well as the fact what the transmission rate is and availability of facilities. So at this time, we're continuing to maintain online meetings. So this is the same rules will apply in this setting. We ask that you not address any personal issues in this forum. It is a public forum, it is recorded, and it is shared with the community who is not able to join us. So if there are personal issues, we ask that you please acknowledge them with us, and then we will make an appointment with you either for a one-on-one or a follow-up with myself, administration, or members of our council to discuss that. As well, we ask that you please, if there are issues or questions, comments about individuals who work for the MCA, we ask that you not identify them by name, because again, this is a public setting. So please use positions or situations without identifying that person. We ask that if you have questions as we go through, I'll stop at the end of the presentations, or during the presentations, we can take questions. We ask that you please use the raise hand function on the Zoom. If you are not able to, please unmute and indicate you'd like to ask a question. I will acknowledge that it is your turn to speak and ask that question. So we need to maintain order, especially on the Zoom. I can't, many people aren't using cameras, so I can't see if you are wanting to ask a question. So you need to raise your hand or unmute and let me know that you'd like to ask a question. We ask that the questions please remain relevant to the conversation or the discussion item that we're discussing, so that we can continue to move through the agenda appropriately. As well, if there are issues that cannot be addressed in this forum, or again, that are personal issues, we will take them back for a one-on-one. If there are questions and things that need follow-up, we do report them back at the next general meeting if we are not able to answer them at this meeting. So again, these meetings are recorded and are streamed to the community later on. So please ensure that we're respecting each other's privacy. The other thing is that we must remain respectful at all times. If anybody is being disrespectful, we do on the Zoom have the ability to mute, and as the chairperson of this meeting, I will use that function. And we also do have the ability to remove somebody from the meeting if they're being disruptive and disrespectful. So we ask that everybody please continue to maintain respect towards one another, the presenters, as we move through this meeting this evening. So that is our rules of order for this evening. So again, welcome and thank you to all of you for joining us for this evening's general meeting. We'll take a moment to go through some of the action items that were from the August 5th general meeting. So the last general meeting that we had was on August 5th. There was a request made to see if there can be a toxic waste disposal day at the fire stations, which they used to have previously. It has not happened in several years. So Chief Vince Thompson, I'm going to go to you just to give us an update on that.
Yeah, Seskeha. Well, at this time, the AG is looking to schedule a fall toxic waste pickup day. And right now we're looking at scheduling that day to occur. And I recommended that a day occur in each district respectively, so that way we can pick up most of the household toxic or chemicals that is not used anymore or outdated. So we're in the process of securing those dates, and also we'll be looking, the department will be looking at funding, because this ain't a budgeted event that's to occur. So we'll be looking for monies and funding to help pay for the cost that it's going to incur for this to happen. So we'll keep you posted as things progress, and hopefully we'll have solid information to share with you by the end of October.
Vince, for the update on that. So that again was a question that was posed last month general meeting about a toxic waste disposal day. All right, so we're going to go into our first presentation. Those of you that registered ahead of time, we have sent out a link to you that has all of the material that we'll be presenting this evening. That is available on our website. Tomorrow we will send out another link with all the material for those that weren't able to receive it beforehand. So we are going to go to our first presentation, which is the Rogers Communications presentation. This evening we're joined by Nathan Martin, who's a representative of Rogers. There is a project that we wanted to present to the community this evening. So Nathan, I'm without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you and for introduction, and then you can go to screen share to be able to share the information that you have. So.
Thank you, Grand Chief. Much appreciated, and nice to see everybody on the screen tonight. I am Nathan Martin. I'm with Rogers Indigenous Collaboration Team at our Rogers corporate office in Toronto, coming to you from beautiful Bowmanville, Ontario tonight. Here tonight to tell you about a bit of a project that we are proposing for the island of Seskeha. So I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Hopefully everyone can see that. So just before we get into the project itself, I just wanted to let everybody know that Rogers in the last year and a half has created its Indigenous collaboration team and department, which is very unique for the telecom industry in Canada. I've been with Rogers since May after deciding to come over to Rogers as a Métis Nation member myself, as well as a person who's worked in community development for a long time. This was an exciting opportunity for me to come over and be part of something that really feeds into the true meaning of reconciliation from a corporate Canada standpoint. And I just wanted to let you know that the principles that Rogers is moving forward with are very much aligned with what we're trying to do when it comes to respect for people and community and respect for lands and resources, also with transparency and fairness. And we're looking to form meaningful partnerships that are long lasting. And that goes by honoring commitments and working together into the future for years to come, hopefully. How we came to this point tonight is there's an organization in Ontario that's made up of the Warden's Caucus, and it is called the Eastern Ontario Regional Network. And they've been lobbying for broadband and wireless connectivity throughout all of Eastern Ontario for over 12 years now. And they were recently awarded a project in Eastern Ontario to put up 300 new wireless towers, as well as enhance 300 of the existing towers. And they canvassed to the telecoms industry for bidders to see who would be their service provider of choice. And Rogers went ahead and did that and was fortunate enough to become the partner of the service provider for Eastern Ontario Regional Network. And where that brings us to this evening is we realized through working through various channels that there was a cell service gap on the island of Sny. And so we've looked to work outside of the auspice of the EORM program itself and work as a company within Rogers to work with Kylie and Rhonda to see if we can bring the opportunity forward to cover that cell gap, which is outside the Ontario boundary and of course into the Quebec side. With our Indigenous collaboration team, we have a North Star, of course, which is practicing sustainable service expansion through investment partnership and reconciliation, which I hope you will see throughout the presentation here. We realize as a group, we're a very small team across Canada. There's actually only 4 of us that are working, and I cover basically Eastern Ontario and Quebec side. And we try to let folks know that connectivity is top of mind for us, but not from just a connecting homes and connecting buildings perspective. It's also from an economic development perspective as well. So that's everything from getting our elders online and getting people networking and connected. It's the economic development itself. It's the bringing business online and getting people to see those returns. Of course, we've seen throughout the pandemic that it's been so important to get our youth online and continue their education from a distance due to the pandemic and COVID-19, et cetera. We're also cognizant of the fact that it's important to have governance and public relations folks connected, have facilities connected, and also through health and wellness, whether that mental health, physical health. We know telehealth is has come to the forefront throughout the pandemic. Home insecurity for both residential homes or administrative buildings. We realize that innovation and IoT, so Internet of Things, is important. I'll tell you a bit about some of what we're doing with that in a moment. Public safety in general, we hear about that when we go to communities, is safety on the roadways, safety on the waterways. Anytime you're away from home and looking to use wireless and you need to call for help. We've also seen it where 911 service has gone down through a power outage or what have you, and it's been the wireless service that has helped people out in that pinch. Touched upon, of course, the public works piece, but can't stress enough that for communities to involve, there's so much technology and innovation out there that we need to make sure that there's the appropriate wireless capability to connect everything in the community. Some of the things that Rogers is doing currently, we're working on a fiber to home build with Mississaugas of the Credit. We have a fixed wireless broadband project underway with Constance Lake. Internet of Things, water quality testing. So that's a partnership between Six Nations and the University of Waterloo to really use 5G technology in the enhancement of their water testing. We have a fellow who's part of our team who looks after Eastern Canada. He's piloting a project right now in New Brunswick called Connected for Success, and that's working with the local First Nations in the area to identify folks who might have a harder time getting connected from an affordability standpoint. So we're piloting a project there that's been going very well. Rogers has just announced a partnership to improve cell service along the Highway of Tears in BC, which of course is very important at the moment. And wireless coverage gap for peerless trout, and then 5G conservation use cases in coastal First Nations BC. So they're actually using some of our Rogers technology to be able to have seamless connectivity for getting their drones in the air to monitor their coast and look after some of those conservation efforts that they have through their guardianship programs. So just some of the things that we're doing and continue to do, and we continue to look for partnerships. As far as an engagement or a project implementation agreement process, this is what you see in front of you here. So I want to emphasize strongly that we are here. We as a team really like to make sure that Rogers does not get ahead of itself, that we make sure that our partnership with our community starts right at the forefront. And that's why you see myself here tonight with you. We're still at this phase where we're looking to form that partnership and get the information out there. Step two, of course, then is going on to evaluate the risk and working in tandem to do so, looking at the resources that you have as a community that we can use to bring some of these projects to fruition. It's looking at the technical solution, feasibility. So I know just we've had other calls with your community, and there are other areas of lacking connectivity that we will also look at, but it's looking at the technical solutions that we can provide in a timely manner. Once we get everybody together and everybody's on the same page, of course, it's that collaboration, the consideration, the moving forward together in tandem, and leveraging every opportunity we can, not just from implementing this connectivity and this technology, but also how can we leverage the technology once it is in place to bring new opportunities to your area. And of course, it's all revolving around the mutual agreement and the risk management together, and then hopefully leading to a positive evaluation between all parties and learning from this process that we've established. What we're pitching to you tonight between Rhonda and Kylie and myself is increased connectivity, of course, on the island of Seskeha. So you'll see the location here, and I'll have to lean on Rhonda for the exact location if you have questions on that. But what we're proposing, I believe, is the similar area to where you had an existing tower proposed. We are just looking to go a little bit higher to make sure that we cover the entire area. And so we're looking at a 45-meter tower. And the estimated cost of that is $673,000. But Rogers is, as I mentioned off the top, we are wanting to do this. We're wanting to do this to assist your community. So we will be covering that entire cost as a corporation for the implementation of this tower. I can come back to this. I'll just move on quickly and then we can come back. We often get questions about 5G. I mean, there's a lot of reporting out there that's much for this technology and is much against this technology. What we can tell you is that we work very closely with ISED, and we are up to snuff on Health Canada's Code 6 standards, which is the highest that we have to date. We have not seen any negative effects to date of any of this technology. This technology has been used across the world for quite some time now. The exciting things about 5G, again, from a health and safety standpoint, we're even seeing that folks, get picked up by a paramedic, and with the 5G technology can now contact hospitals and have real live video conference calls in the ambulance, just to speed or expedite the treatment of people. Again, talking about the drone technology, talking about the ability to increase that expansion of service wider than we ever have before. So I encourage everybody to do their own homework on this, but I wouldn't be in front of you today if I didn't believe that we were going about this in an appropriate manner and doing the appropriate homework. Just some benefits, just to touch on again, there'll be no cost to MCA for the tower construction and the maintenance. MCA will have the ability to still move ahead with their original project on this tower, pardon me, in a colo agreement. There's possible procurement for local business as we start to go through the construction, whether that be from anything from landscaping to the construction itself. We're going to work with the girls to figure out what opportunities we can leverage the most. Ultimately, looking for equality for SNI residents. We know that there are areas of your territory that are well served, and this seems to be one that is not. So we're looking to bring that up to snuff. Again, I won't belabor the point, but the health and safety piece is big for us as a company to make sure that people are well protected. And then the retention of enhanced skills and workforce, right? So we want to make sure that we can tap into whatever skills that you have, whether it be promotional materials, communications materials, what have you. We want to use the expertise that you have on the ground. And it's just enhancing the network. Gives so many capabilities, as I touched on off the top, for your community itself. So I will end it there, but I will go back to the slide with the tower and pass it back to Grand Chief for any questions.
All right, thank you very much, Nathan, for that. I'm going to ask you to stop the screen share, just easier
Sure,
for me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The people here, if we do need that to come back up, we can do that.
You bet.
All right, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to take a moment now to ask if any community members or members of council have any questions for Nathan on the presentation that he has just made. So again, he did reference that there was an existing project that would be putting a tower there. That's part of the fiber to the home project. This is separate, but it is related. We will be putting a tower up to support to the network for the fiber to the home that's being constructed in all of the community right now. And while that's happening, there is a proposal to put a tower up for Rogers Communication to increase the cell phone coverage in the SNI district area. Okay. Well, if there are no questions in relation to that, then Nathan, I want to thank you very much for sharing this information with us. I know that you have previously presented to our council. You've been working closely with Kylie and different through our fiber to the home, as well as on this project. I do see a hand, so I'll just take a moment. We'll go to Connie. If you have a question, go ahead.
Thank you, Grand Chief. First, I'd like to congratulate you all on your recent election, and I thank you for your commitment to serving Akwesasne. My question related to the presentation, which I thank Nathan for, is to council as far as where is this tower being located. And I do know that, or I do recall Nathan saying that they were paying for the building and erecting this tower. But for years to come, is this piece of land on a lease basis, or is it just going to be continue to be owned by MCA? I just looking for particulars on the land. Thank you.
Good question. I'll turn it back either to Nathan or one of the team members from Information Services to help with that answer.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
So the location where it's going is MCA lands. It's right across the driveway from the Seskeha school. It is a lease. It will be a land lease. And once we get through all of our community engagement, then we'll work on the next steps of evaluating what it takes to put it into that spot.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, so just to build on what Rhonda's saying, we're looking at this, as I mentioned, as a long-term partnership. So we're looking to cover the lease agreement. We have a memorandum of understanding drafted, and that will go to council once every step we've taken is appropriate with the community and both council. And then that will get the project underway at that point. And we'll continue to work with Rhonda and Kylie.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions for Nathan or members of our team that's working with Rogers on this? Vince?
Yeah, just want to know, and hopefully maybe a community member would like to know also, what's the startup time and end date of completion?
Very good question. So normally these towers would take about 10 to 18 months. We're well ahead in that process simply because our department really advocating for this project, which is half the battle on the inside of Rogers. But Rogers is well in full support of this project, which has things ready to go. We've continued to do the network background work of looking at what's required and what materials we need, and we do have things ready to go. So this project, I would say, could be much shorter than the 8 months. That is the normal 8 to 16 months. I think will be a little shorter than that, pending approval from you folks here.
Okay, thank you. You're good, Vince?
Yeah, and also if there's an intent to utilize our construction companies to help with the anchorage, the cement pouring, and all the other excavation that could be needed.
Yes, it will be utilizing local contractors as much as we can.
And we will have abundant supply of iron workers too that would help in the erection of the tower itself. Yeah.
Jackie, we're going to go to you.
Oh, I lowered my hand because that was my question. Are we going to employ local, tradespeople?
Yeah. Thank you. Absolutely. A very important part of any project we do in the community with our partners. Okay. All right. Well, Nathan, thank you very much for sharing this. And thank you to Rhonda and Kylie on behalf of the Mohawk Council for working on this, for pushing this project forward and joining us this evening. So thank you to the three of you.
Thank you, folks. Have a great meeting.
Yeah, take care. All right, so now we're going to move ahead with our presentations that we have for this evening. If there are no questions, last minute questions on that. Okay, we'll continue to keep the community updated as that moves forward. Predominantly, this is the tower will be located in the Snide district, so we'll make sure that as it proceeds, the district continues to receive an update on it. All right, so the first update that we're going to give this evening is the vaccine passport. So I'll ask that the presentation for the vaccine passport be placed on the shared screen, please. All right, so we have the vaccine record information. I'm going to be assisted this evening by members of our health portfolio. So Tim, I'm going to ask you to start us off on this.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our general meeting. There are other portfolio chiefs who will take the different parts of this presentation. We are doing the vaccine record information. Ontario is to begin the requiring of proof of vaccinations. Beginning September 22nd, yesterday, the province of Ontario will require proof of COVID-19 vaccinations to enter many indoor facilities and settings. On October 22nd, 21, the Ontario will move towards an upgrading proof of vaccination process, which will include an app for individuals and businesses to download and a QR code. Quebec began requiring a proof of vaccinations on September 1st, 2021 to access many indoor public venues. Next slide. Copies of your vaccine receipts can be obtained through following website: covid19.ontariohealth.ca. You will need to enter your green Ontario Health Card or OHIP number, date of birth, and postal code on the website. If you do not have your green Ontario card, you will need to call the provincial vaccine booking line at 1-833-943-3900 from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week, regardless of the district you reside. If you obtained your COVID-19 vaccines through community health program, you will need to access the Ontario website to obtain your COVID-19 vaccine receipt. Next slide. Community members who received their vaccines in Quebec and are in need of their proof of vaccination receipts can access the self-service portal on the website www.quebec.ca. Click on the health link below by the health issue link, then to the A to Z link. Scroll down to the web page to coronavirus and click on vaccine appointments. Scroll down to accessing the self-service portal link. Fill out the required information on the page to receive the digital copy of your vaccine receipts. In speaking with some people who have already gone onto this website, it is a very easy website to follow through in English, and you'll get through it pretty quick. Next slide for Sarah, I believe.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, we'll go to you, Sarah.
Okay. Register your COVID-19 vaccine received outside of Ontario. Any community members who have received their COVID-19 vaccines from outside of Ontario, such as the St. Regis Mohawk Tribe vaccine clinics or elsewhere, can report their immunization to the Eastern Ontario Health Unit's COVAX On system by visiting www.eohu.ca and click on Register a record of vaccination received outside of Ontario. Then you would enter all the required information on the page, such as last name, first name, date of birth, home or mobile phone number, email address, OHIP card. However, if you have a QHIP card holders, you enter all zeros to bypass this requirement, and your postal code. Upload a picture of your CDC vaccination card to the site. Make sure the card has both doses and lot number shown. It takes approximately 72 hours to be registered to the COVAX system once everything has been submitted. If you don't have internet access, call 1-866-318-0522 for assistance. Community members who receive their vaccination outside of Quebec and would like to register their record with Quebec can go to Click Sante portal at www.clicsante.ca to register their vaccine record. Go to the website and click Choose a Service. From the drop-down menu, select COVID-19 vaccine troubleshooting and enter your postal code. Select from the closest health service. You'll be required to book an in-person appointment with the nearest service provider to have your vaccine record registered in Quebec. Vaccine records accepted. Ontario and Quebec will accept proof of vaccinations received outside the provinces if a printed proof of vaccination is presented with accompanying identification. Ontario will accept a digital copy of the receipt. Download to your mobile device. Next will be Dwayne.
Thank you, Sarah. Dwayne, we're going to go to you.
Upcoming COVID-19 vaccine clinic dates. September 29th, 2021, Moderna, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Akwesasne by appointment. October 13th, 2021, Pfizer, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Akwesasne by appointment. And October 27th, 2021, Moderna, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Akwesasne by appointment. Contact information. MCA's Community Health Program, 613-575-2341. St. Regis Mohawk Tribe's Vaccine Clinic, 518-334-5555. 1-833-0230. Ontario's COVAX Registry System Assistance, 1-866-318-0522. And Ontario's Provincial Vaccine Booking Line, 1-833-943-3900. Please be patient when contacting any service providers. Staff are doing the best they can to meet our needs.
All right, thank you very much. We'll just take a moment now if there are any questions in relation to the presentation on the vaccine passport. Connie, I see you have your hand up, so we'll go to you.
Thank you, Grand Chief. Just a question, portfolio. Has there been arrangements made to assist our elders who live alone or who do not have computer access or who just doesn't care to have the computer in their homes, to assist them with obtaining these passports as a organization or as a council leadership? You know, everyone was encouraged to get the vaccination. So I'm hoping that there's going to be an option for those who need assistance and not be left out. Thank you.
Community Health is working on that. Right now, they are inputting the 1,600 vaccines into the system now, and they will do a follow-up right after that.
A follow-up as what? Like, will somebody actually help the elders get their passport?
Yes, they will.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions in relation to this presentation?
So I did post on the, for the chiefs, that this afternoon we went to Cornwall and we presented the community health card as our vaccine in one of the restaurants, and it was accepted as our proof. I know these cards are not acceptable for travel. You do need to get the Eastern Ontario Health Unit verification on that. So these cards are acceptable to eat in Cornwall restaurants. And we did eat at Julie's favorite restaurant, so.
Thank you for that. By the way, Connie, it's good to hear your voice. It's been a while. Dwayne, I see you have your hand up. We'll go to you.
Just to let the community know, I did go on this morning to the clicksante.ca website for Quebec to make the appointment. It takes about 4 minutes. It's rather quick. Closest place is Valleyfield. I was able to get appointments for me and my family for next Wednesday.
Thank you. All right, the next presentation, I'll ask that we bring that up on screen. I'm going to ask Vanessa and April to help me walk through this presentation. So Vanessa, you are going to take us the start of it, and then we'll go to April for the last part of it.
There we go.
Right.
Quarantine requirements for non-vaccinated and vaccinated individuals. This is the Ontario Health Guidance. Next slide, please. The definition of a fully immunized individual. We're getting questions. Immunized individuals. Individuals are defined as fully immunized if they have received the full series of COVID-19 vaccines authorized by Health Canada or any combination of such vaccines. 1 or 2 doses of a COVID-19 vaccine not authorized by Health Canada, followed by 1 dose of a COVID-19 mRNA vaccine authorized by Health Canada, Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson. 3 doses of a COVID-19 vaccine not authorized by Health Canada. They received their final dose of COVID-19 vaccine at least 14 days ago. Next slide, please. Definition of a previously positive individual. An individual is defined as previously positive if they were a confirmed case of COVID-19 where their initial positive result was less than 90 days ago and they have been cleared from their initial infection. No, this does not mean that reinfection is not possible within the 90 days of infection, particularly given potential for immune escape with the VOCs, which are variants of concern. However, the low risk of potential transmission from exposed resolved cases who remain asymptomatic are likely outweighed by the potential benefits of avoiding unnecessary self-isolation. Next slide. I'll go to April.
Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, I'm not frozen on the screen anymore.
We can hear you.
Okay. Fully immunized individuals or previously positive individuals who are symptomatic or test positive for COVID-19. Fully immunized and previously positive asymptomatic, no symptoms individuals who are household members of a symptomatic person are not required to stay at home until the symptomatic individual tests negative. If the symptomatic household member is not fully immunized or previously positive, they need to self-isolate until the symptomatic individual receives a negative test result. Upon receiving a negative PCR test result, symptomatic individuals who are fully immunized or previously positive can be cleared from isolation if symptoms have improved for at least 24 hours. And gastronal, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach pain, symptoms resolving for at least 48 hours. Next slide. Fully immunized individuals who test positive. Fully immunized and non-immunized individuals are required to quarantine if they test positive or have been exposed to COVID-19. Each positive case or exposure situation is unique. Individuals who have been exposed to COVID-19 should begin their self-quarantine for 14 days from the last possible exposure. Both fully immunized and non-immunized individuals' quarantine situation should follow the advertisement of their public health authority, community health program for Akwesasne under the jurisdiction of MCA. Next slide. COVID-19 variants. Variants of concern occur in viruses that have had time to circulate amongst the population. While most variants have little impact on a community, some variants can have larger damaging impacts. Variants are common with coronavirus. However, a variant becomes a variant of concern when it changes have a clinical or public health significance that affects one or more of the following: transmissibility, spread, virulence, severity of disease, vaccine effectiveness, and diagnostic testing. The alpha, beta, gamma, and delta variants of COVID-19 have all been identified to have been in COVID-19 cases in Akwesasne. The Delta variant, which is the latest variant identified by the Public Health Ontario, is highly infectious and causes severe disease in those who contract it. Next slide. Third booster shots. A third booster of COVID-19 vaccine has been approved for residents of long-term care LTC facilities. Individuals who are immune compromised, transplant recipients, and individuals undergoing chemotherapy have also been approved for a third dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. A third dose for the general public is being considered, but hasn't been approved by Health Canada as of yet. And that's it for the presentation.
Thank you, Vanessa and April, for that. We'll just take a moment to see if there are any questions in relation to what has been presented by the two members of council. Okay. All right, thank you. The next presentation that we're going to go over is also in relation to COVID. As you know, we continue to deal with the pandemic.
I have a question.
And we are inevitably in a fourth wave at this point. So it's important that we continue to share this information and keep you updated as we move through the pandemic as a community. There was a question. I'll go to you.
With this fourth wave, what could we expect? Are they looking at lockdown again? Because now we're up to almost 50 over, I think. But what is the point when you decide that we're already at too much?
Yeah, so we continue to monitor the situation around us. We take the advice and lead from the East Ontario Health Unit as far as reductions, directives, lockdowns, which are not. We didn't lock down the community, but everybody around us took measures to limit and what have you. So it's really hard to say if we're going to go back into the same situation we were in the past. That is really why it's important that we continue to encourage those who are not vaccinated to be vaccinated. We do know that majority of the cases of new positive cases are individuals who are not vaccinated. So they seem to be the predominant ones who are pushing the numbers up. Whether or not new restrictions will be put in place we're not sure at this point. But I mean, this continues to change day by day or week by week at this point, and we'll continue to evaluate. We'll go back to
Abram, do you have actual numbers though of people who are vaccinated and non-vaccinated? Because I know several people who have been vaccinated and they've tested positive. Now their reactions aren't as severe, but it's giving people a false sense of security, that vaccination, to be honest. They think that they're actually not going to get it, and they can. So I wish that there would be more of that out there to say that, yes, you can still, it's not 100%. Yeah. Even the third one, they can't guarantee that you won't get it, but a lot of people seem to think, that's what you've been led to believe. So it'd be nice if we had actual numbers.
Yeah, unfortunately, as we are right now, we don't have directly the numbers as to how much of the community is vaccinated. We do know how many that we've administered, how much the tribe has administered. But yeah, you're absolutely right. One of the things that we've continued to do is make sure that we're sharing as much information as possible. And as you know, this continues to change, quite quickly. You are right that there was a sense of feeling that if we all got vaccinated, everything would go back to normal, and that's not been the case at this point. But we have to rely upon the experts in infectious disease and what have you. Vanessa, is there something you wanted to add just before we go back to Connie on this, please?
Sure. So one of the things that we're learning with this new wave that's coming with COVID-19 is that we're looking at more of a social pandemic. Those situations where you are comfortable and gathering and not masking. So oftentimes, like birthday parties, baby showers, they become spreader events because we're comfortable. Funerals are another one where we're comforting another person and getting in close proximity, which enables the spread. So someone who may be asymptomatic can cause a big spread when it comes to those social gatherings. So I think what you'll see coming out from our PSAs from community health is a lot of recycled information that we started with at the beginning. Get into your family bubbles, remain safe, Take the precautions that you would have at the beginning of the pandemic in order to keep yourself and your family safe. That way we can slow the spread and hopefully stop it very soon. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Connie, we'll go back to you.
Yeah, so will we be testing on the Canadian side, possibly on weekends again? Because I know when my daughter went to school in Kingston, we had to rush to get to the America side to get a rapid test, and then had, you know, and that's like 4 hours right there if you don't catch it at the right time. And is it possible to do some rapid tests for our community members also? Because it does get quite costly after.
Yeah, but something that we can take into consideration is the weekend testing. I mean, we still meet every 2 weeks to discuss COVID matters amongst within the community and the MCA, and that's something that, you know, we have expressed to our administration that testing needs to continue to be available, because that's, you know, obviously has been from the beginning ways that we are able to slow the spread is to make sure that people are being tested and they're quarantining. So that, you know, we're not having outbreaks. Tim, is there something you want to add?
So that is one of the questions we asked this morning with our acting director of health as regards to rapid tests. Do we have the rapid tests, and is rapid test available? And her response was, yes, we have it here. And yes, we can do the rapid test, and it will be by appointment.
Okay. So it's something that we'll continue to examine as we move forward, because testing is important as well as vaccination is important. Vanessa had mentioned, you know, we'll see some more of the messaging coming out going forward. It's extremely important that we, you know, we continue to be cautious and do our part to ensure that we're not, you know, having outbreaks and mass spreads within our community. Okay. Are there any other questions? Connie, we'll go to you. The other Connie.
Thank you, Grand Chief. Thank you, Connie Howe. I can really appreciate your concern. You know, I've been looking at the stuff being sent out on Facebook and whatnot, and hearing the director of AMBE speak to the fact that there's no outbreak unless they have at least 2 cases in a school. Then AMS closes kindergarten, and then I think grade 2 and grade 4. So were those positive cases, or were they just people that there's possibility? And if that's 3 people, then shouldn't the school have been closed and not just grades? Because the reality of today is, while we are vaccinated, we can still test positive for COVID, just not as severely. But those kids cannot be vaccinated. So would we risk keeping the schools open when there's an outbreak or potential for an outbreak? And I'm just wondering if maybe you want to follow more of Eastern Ontario Health Unit in that instead of deciding on our own. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you for that. Is there any, does anybody want to respond to that? I know that the next presentation is on some of the work that's being done with COVID protocols at the schools. But, you know, I mean, really where things have shifted is that, you know, while there are outbreaks, there's a lot of efforts to try to keep them to a minimal, which has always been the case, but also to a minimal disruption as much as possible to the, you know, in this case, the schools, but also ensuring that people are kept safe. So some of the protocols that, you know, the portfolio is going to go through, you'll see that, you know, we're doing our best to ensure that the children are kept safe, that social distancing, that the infrastructure is there to support, you know, the sneeze guards or what have you, to slow or to stop or mitigate the risks. But we'll continue to you know, keep the community updated as this changes. So I'm going to ask the next presentation to be brought up if we could, which is specifically on the protocols at the school. And I'm going to ask Chief Julie, Edward, and Sarah to walk us through this presentation, starting with Julie. So this, just so you know, it was a presentation shared with the parents earlier today, and we're sharing again this evening that addresses some of the protocols. Julie?
Good evening, everyone. So this is a presentation on the Akwesasne Mohawk Board of Education. Next slide, please.
Are you able to see this?
Yeah. Did I freeze or did you freeze?
It's not scrolling.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's because I'm full screen. Just a second.
Alrighty, we good? So AMBE, the safety is our first priority. AMBE schools have smaller class sizes for all students, and we are providing classrooms with desk shields and extra PPE. Next slide, please. AMBE schools have smaller class sizes for all students. Oh, I just read that. Okay. Treating everyone with kindness. We realize that it is not easy for families to navigate the changes due to COVID protocols. Everyone is doing their best to understand all of the requirements for isolation and return to school. Each case is different, and we ask that everyone be patient while we consult with health experts. This partnership will help us keep everyone safe and allow learning to continue. Together, we can close the gaps that were the results of the closure caused by the global pandemic. Next slide. No, way too small. Let's see, COVID-19 screening update. The screening tool. The Ontario Ministry of Health has updated the COVID-19 screening tool for children in schools and childcare on August 26, 2021. The tool provides basic information only and contains recommendations for children to support decisions made by parents about whether their child should attend school, childcare, and or needs to be tested for COVID-19. This can be used to assess symptoms of any child who attends childcare or school, junior, intermediate, high school. It is not to be used as a clinical assessment tool or intended to take the place of medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Screening must occur daily at home before a child enters school or childcare. Sarah, I think, is next.
It's Edward.
Oh, Edward, sorry.
Thank you, Julie.
Yep.
AMBE protocol update. AMBE consults with community health and values their guidance as we are educators, not medical experts. We will ask families to keep children home until they can be cleared to return by community health. We ask that if children are sick, they remain home and the parents consult with community health. Children should only return once community health clears the children of isolation protocols. We are asking, based on the COVID screening tool, that if someone in the household is sick or has been directed to isolate, that all household members remain home until directed otherwise by community health. Each case is unique, so the protocols for isolation can vary. Next slide, please. Examining our options. AMBE is currently examining options for safety and learning as we monitor the rise in case numbers in the community and surrounding areas. Keep in mind, we only have so many staff, so we have to select the option that provides the majority of students with access. Options being considered: 1, Head Start to grade 2 at school, 3 to 5 days. Grade 3 to 8, hybrid, 2 days in school and 2 days online. 3, continue with everyone in school, 4, reduce days in school, Mondays off for weekend tracing. 5, other options that are being considered.
All right,
Next
thank you.
slide. Sarah's next.
Thank you, Edward. We'll go to Sarah to walk us through the last 2 slides.
The following important dates for the 2021 to 2022 school year calendar. September 29th, 2021, Orange Shirt Day is recognized in schools. September 30th, 2021, holiday, there's no school. October 1st, 2021, a PD day, no school. October 11th, 2021, Thanksgiving, no school. October 13th, 2021, virtual open house. November 1st, P Day, no school. November 24th, 2021, progress reports, no school. November 25th, 26th, board holidays, no school. Next, please. Contact information. Please keep your student school up to date on how to contact you. Contact your children's school to update. Contact information needs to be updated with your child's school. This will help with the delivery of automated school messenger information. Please be sure to check the AMBE Facebook page and the AMBE website. Important links for learning platforms can be found there. Next slide, please. Now, parents and families, any questions?
Thank you, the 3 of you, for walking us through that. We'll ask the screen share to come down. Thank you. All right, we'll take a moment to see if there are any questions in relation to the information that was provided.
And Chief, if I could just go back to Connie Lazor's question earlier. I just wanted to ensure everyone actually that AMBE is following the Ontario guidelines that are set out. So there's, there's things that are in place because of those protocols, and they are watching everything very closely. I know it looked like, boom, boom, boom. There was a bunch of classes that were shut down. And yes, even I thought, oh, maybe we should close down. But when talking to Donna, the director, she did say that, the classes that were affected by the teacher. That's why they were closed. And luckily, I guess, because really, I think COVID is kind of a, I don't want to say a crapshoot, but it's really kind of a crapshoot in how to navigate it. So, there was no other positives within the rooms, to my knowledge. So I just want to ensure the community that, the board and the teachers and the staff and everyone is doing the best they can when it comes to our students. Okay,
For that. Connie, we'll go to you.
Thank you, Chief Julie. I appreciate that. It does help clarify the situation when you mentioned how it was in the schools and it wasn't 3 different students. So thank you. I do appreciate that.
All right. Thank you very much to the 3 of you for providing that information to the community. Obviously, as we mentioned earlier, as we continue to navigate this ongoing pandemic, things will continue to change quickly, and we'll keep the community updated as much as we can as well. The schools, as well as all of MCA, are doing the best that they can to make sure that services are not disrupted, that the classrooms are continuing to be, the kids are continuing to be in class and learning, as we move along is extremely important, because, having 1 year, school year out of class or dealing with the thick of the pandemic will have everlasting academic effects and social effects to our children. And it's important that we try to mitigate it as much as possible, but also keeping our children and our staff and our community safe. So, go to you for the presentation. The next item is going to be a portfolio update. So as we had in our last general meeting, we had not, as of then, had the portfolio assignments done. So this evening we wanted to just provide you with a quick update on what members of council are on what portfolio. So I'll ask that the presentation be put up. This information, again, is all of the information presented tonight was sent to you in an email with a link to our website that has these PowerPoint presentations on there. But as well, we will send an email again in the morning with the link again, so that you can review this this information at your leisure. So we'll just walk you through this. We'll go through the first slide, if you don't mind. So the first one is the Akwesasne Board of Education, who we had the 3 members just provide you with an update on the COVID protocols. So education portfolio is Chief Edward Rompoint, Chief Sarah Dybel, and Chief Julie Phillips Jacobs. Next slide, please. The Department of Community and Social Services, DCSS, are the following chiefs: Chief Vanessa Adams, April Adams Phillips, Jackie Benedict, Joanne Swamp, and Cindy Francis Mitchell. So those are your DCSS Community and Social Services portfolio holders. Next slide, please. Department of Infrastructure, Housing and Environment, also referred to as DIHE, which is an amalgamation of Housing and DTS, formerly Department of Housing and DTS, and Environment is under this portfolio as well. These are the members of council who are on this portfolio, which is Chief Joanne Swamp, Chief Vince Thompson, Chief April Adams Phillips, Chief Cindy Francis Mitchell, Chief Jackie Benedict, Chief Ryan Jacobs, and Chief Tim Dooley Thompson. So those are members that are under the DIHE portfolio. Just understanding that there may be some members who are specifically on housing and may not be on the infrastructure side, or there may be members who may be just on environment and housing. It's a rather big department with several functions, and not all members may be on all of them, or they may be on all of them, just so you're aware. Next slide, please. Government Secretariat, which includes our Aboriginal Rights and Research Office, as well as our nation building program, or Undawadatui, are under the Government Secretariat. So we have Chief Dwayne Thomas, Chief Edward Rompoint, Chief Tim Dooley Thompson, Chief Joanne Swamp, Chief Cindy Francis Mitchell, and Chief Jackie Benedict, who are all on the Government Secretariat portfolio. Next slide, please. Department of Health, which is Chief Dwayne Thomas, Chief Vanessa Adams, Chief April Adams Phillips, Chief Dooley Thompson, and Chief Sarah Lee Dybel. Now, there's a couple of chiefs missing in there in this title. So as I'm reading it, it just says District April Adams Phillips. So that's what caught me off guard as I'm reading that. So that is the members of council for the Department of Health. We'll go to the next slide. Justice portfolio chiefs is Chief Julie Phillips Jacobs, Cindy Francis Mitchell, and Chief Sarah Dybel. Again, we're missing chief in there, but those are the justice portfolio chiefs. Next slide, please. Nation building, which is Chief Edward Rompoint, Chief Cindy Francis Mitchell, Chief Joanne Swamp, and Chief Vince Thompson is the nation building. Next slide, please. Public safety, which is Chief Vanessa Adams, Chief April Adams Phillips, and Chief Julie Phillips Jacobs. Again, this material will be made available, is available online, and we'll continue to hear updates from those members on their specific portfolios as we move forward. Next slide, please. Economic development is Chief Dwayne Thomas, Chief Edward Rompoint, Chief Vince Thompson, Chief Ryan Jacobs, Chief Vanessa Adams, Chief Jackie Benedict, and Chief Cindy Francis Mitchell. So those are Economic Development Department portfolio chiefs. Next slide, please. And this is just a bit of a chart to show which members are on what portfolio. So we'll go to the next slide. Again, the material is been emailed to you. There are a couple committees that council participates on. This is a list, but not limited. There may be others. So the Akwesasne Corporation has Chief Edward Rompoint, who's not named on there, which was just approved by council, is Chief Dwayne Thomas and Chief Cindy Francis Mitchell. And just so you know, the Akwesasne Corporation is a corporation company that the Mohawk Council owns. They've had that for about 20 years. It's used as a land holding company. So whenever we purchase land off the reserve, we have to have a way to hold that land, and the Akwesasne is the land holding corporation. It's really just a formality. If there are decisions or acquisitions, they're all made by council. Next slide, please. So the Finance Committee, those of you that are regular participants of our district meetings know that we are in the process of restructuring our Finance Committee. It has been restructured, so now it falls under the Akwesasne Financial Administration Law. These are the members of council who have been put forward as the Finance Committee: Chief Ryan Jacobs, Chief Cindy Francis Mitchell, and Chief Julie Phillips Jacobs. This list may not be complete at this time, as of all of the committee lists may not be updated as of most recent, but these are the ones that are tentatively being signed. Next slide, please. Governance Committee, which includes, but not limited to, the MCA portfolio, terms of reference, MCA reference tool, communications with administration protocol, and orientation review. So that's some of the things that the Governance Committee looks at and makes recommendation to council for changes or modifications, improvements. Chief Ryan Jacobs, Chief Cindy Francis Mitchell, Chief Edward Rompoint, and Chief Jackie Benedict are the members who are tentatively going to the Governance Committee. Next slide, please. The Green Team, which is not limited to combating climate change, creating environmentally friendly community, implementing green team initiatives throughout the MCA organization and community. So this is a committee that was started a couple of years ago, just looking at promoting, reduction, reduce, recycle within the community, different ways that we can ensure that we're doing our part to preserve the Mother Earth and as an organization looking at ways to reduce. So this committee is a very wide function, but really exactly what it is a team to promote green and renewable ways of operating as a community and as an organization. So that's Chief Ryan Jacobs, Chief Julie Phillips Jacobs, Chief Dwayne Thomas, Chief Jackie, Chief April Adams Phillips, and Chief Sarah are on the Green Team. Next slide, please. The Office of Vital Statistics Committee, OVS, is a committee that assists in the lands as well as estates in the membership board. So we have Chief Joanne Swamp, Chief Jackie Benedict, and as well Chief Vince Thompson are on the OVS, Office of Vital Statistics Committee. Next slide, please. The Property Acquisition Team, or also referred to as PAT, which is a committee that was set up several years ago to look at any potential land acquisitions that the Mohawk Council may make for various reasons. So there's members of council who sit on that team, and currently is Chief Tim Thompson, Chief Edward Rompoint, and Chief Vince Thompson are members of the Property Acquisition Team. Next slide. This is a committee that was started probably about a term and a half ago, the Youth, Elder, Cultural, and Language Committee, which is includes but not limited to the Youth Council, Council of Elders, Language Initiatives and Projects, Cultural Initiatives and Projects. We have District Chief April Adams Phillips, Chief Vanessa Adams, Chief Tim Thompson, Chief Joanne Swamp, Chief Dwayne Thomas, Chief Vince Thompson, and Chief Julie Phillips Jacobs are all part of the Youth, Elder, Culture, and Language Committee. Next slide, please. The Special Needs Committee, which is also part of the DCSS portfolio, is Chief Julie Phillips Jacobs and Chief Vanessa Adams. Next slide. The Waterways Committee, which is ensuring the safety of the community of Akwesasne and the waters within the community, sharing safety information with all of us who use the waters of Akwesasne. And this committee was recently formed just last year, especially, around the increased use of the waters in and around our community due to the pandemic and the lockdown. Many people have taken to the water for leisure. This committee was formed to ensure that the issues, safeties, information around the using communal waters is communicated and strategic in our approach. So these are the members who have been assigned: is Chief Julie Phillips Jacobs, Chief Vanessa Adams, Chief April Adams Phillips, Chief Cindy Francis Mitchell, and Chief Sarah Dybel. So that's the Waterways Committee. Next slide. Hydroquebec Working Group. So this is a committee that was just recently formed as of council. As many of you know, we continue to struggle with reliability of the electrical system, predominantly in the districts of Sny and St. Regis. And we know that, we continue to hear from the community about, the long outages from power, the damages that have been created by power being out or flickers or surges. So we have a committee that was formed, that has been formed to work with Quebec Hydro to find initiatives or to find solutions to the sustainability, reliability of the power in the district of Destina and Ganondigo. So these are the members that have been assigned to that: is Chief Cindy Francis Mitchell, Chief Jackie Benedict, Chief Sarah Dybel, Chief Dwayne Thomas, Chief Vince Thompson, and Chief Joanne Swamp. So that's the Quebec Hydro Working Committee. And I believe that is it. This is just another chart in there that shows each member of council and what committees they are part of. So I'll ask that the screen share be taken down. So that is the update on which members of council are on which portfolios and which committees of council. We will be doing a portfolio review in 6 months, and then that will form the committee selections or in the portfolio selections for the rest of this council's term. Again, this information is available. We have sent it out in a link. You can download it from our MCA website for your review. All right, so now going to go to members of council who are working on the September 30th Truth and Reconciliation Day. As you know, next Thursday is a day that Canada has proclaimed as Truth and Reconciliation. Not only is it a statutory holiday for the federal government, but also it's a day that many organizations will be taking a moment to acknowledge truth and reconciliation, which the government has committed to be doing, but also more so recently this year, the horrific recoveries of the mass graves at various residential schools throughout Canada has really signified how we need to continue to heal as a community, as community leaders. We need to ensure that we're promoting healing for all of our people, but also acknowledging that the history and trauma of those who have survived or were lost and families who went through was a horrific time. So next Thursday, there's a series of events that the MCA, including community organizations, are doing. And we just wanted to give an opportunity to share that information with you so that if you are able to participate in some of those activities, they're available to you. So I'll ask one of the members of the committee. There are, I believe, 4 members who are been assigned to work on this, to just give us in the community an update of what's planned for next week.
Sure, I can do that. Okay, so for Orange Shirt Day events happening in Akwesasne, September 27th, ACFS will be giving away orange t-shirts. They're beginning at Gunaguatzilio and they will start at 11:30 and it is scheduled to run until 2 p.m. but it's till all are gone. Again, at the Peachtree Mall from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. On September 29th, we will be hosting a community breakfast sandwich takeaway, and this will happen from 7 until all are gone. And this will be happening in all 3 districts, in Ganadago and Gisnina at the recreation halls. And in Gowanoga, we will be changing to the arena. It's just easier than accessing our Gowanoga recreation. That way it's just, you just drive up and you can get your breakfast sandwich and take that away. There is a community releasing smudge sponsored by the Akwesasne Community Justice Program. And this is a virtual event. It will be on Facebook Live on the MCA page. So the smudge kits have been distributed. If you need one, you can contact the community justice at akwesasne.ca. We will also paint the community orange. Community members are urged to put something orange out on your house and decorate it orange with lights, however you feel. And then on September 30th, we are doing a traditional meal takeaway, again, from 5 p.m. until all are gone in all 3 districts. Gowanoga, again, we will be changing to the arena location, so that way it's safer for you to drive up and grab your meal there. And that's all I have on here. Perhaps you can read the last one, Abram.
Which one is that? Sorry.
Sorry, it didn't print all the way out online. It's recovering from residential school impacts. On the MCA Facebook page, there will be, sorry, that's where I'm not printing out anymore. I'm sorry. Check out the MCA Facebook page to see what the recovering residential school impacts is about. Also like to acknowledge Big Russ, Chip Stand in Ganadago will be giving out free pogo meals for all kids, and that is Thursday, September 30th from noon until 2 p.m. And all names will go into a draw for an awesome family prize. And this event is sponsored by the St. Regis Recreation.
Thank you. And that's that point that you were asking, which is on the flyer, which has been shared through our social media, says recovering from residential school impacts. On the MCA Facebook page, there will be a post asking, what is your advice to today's generation and the general public through Canada and the United States on how we recover from residential school systems, tragedies, and how we support one another in doing so. Share your wise words and help educate others. So on September 30th, there will be a post on our MCA Facebook page asking community members to share their thoughts of how we as a community, or how the general public can support and heal from the residential schools. So we look forward to the comment and feedback from our community and as well as the communities around us. Chief Cindy, I see you have your hand up. I'll go to you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Just to add to the September 30th activities, Council's ordered some banners that we are hoping to have in by tomorrow. And the banner will actually have the logo from Joe King. We're really proud of that logo. So we wanted to make sure that it went on a banner that we can have all community members sign. So there's going to be one put in each district, probably at the recreation. Now I'm hearing possibly at the arena. So we welcome community to come in and sign. We're hoping to have it out to the schools, if possible, tomorrow to have all the kids sign. And that's just in addition to what's happening on the 30th. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So please keep an eye out. We will confirm the locations before next week, where you can sign the banners for those affected. Connie Hall, I see you had your hand up. We'll go to you, then we'll go to Julie Phillips.
I just wanted to ask, do we still have an active health advisory board? And then my second question is there terms of reference for all of the committees? There seems to be a whole lot of committees and what their makeup is, community members, you know, like their purpose, I guess. But yeah, is there terms of reference for all the other committees? And is there an active health advisory board?
Does somebody have an answer on the health advisory? So
there is an active health advisory board. I believe they are missing one member, I believe, of the board, and they will be filling that and doing a call out for that also.
Okay, thank you. And there's the question on the terms of reference. Some of them do, some of them don't, because some of them are more of an ad hoc for a specific function as far as the terms of reference go on those committees. But we can, I do believe there is a listing on the MCA website, but we'll follow up and identify which ones have terms of reference and what where they can be seen. So just recorder, can you please note that for follow-up? Julie, we're going to go to you.
What was I going to say? I didn't write it down. Oh, just to add to the things that we are doing for the Truth and Reconciliation Day. We also gave away 2,000 shirts yesterday in each of our districts. We ensured that our Yakisuta and our residents at Giocanunsade and our residents at Sweetgrass Manor all got shirts. We understand that we ran out. This was the first time. We knew that the shirts would be popular, and it was first come, first serve. So I think it went really well, and hopefully we can either continue to do this or something else next year. But I just wanted to give everyone all of council a shout out for being there yesterday to deliver or to hand out the shirts. And yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Connie, we're going to go back to you for a question.
Thank you, Grand Chief. I just have a couple comments for portfolio chiefs. Whoever, I'm sorry, I don't remember the names, but in health, I had an elder who had to go to Ottawa for diagnostic testing. And when she arrived, before any of the testing could be done, she had to pay $250. Then she had to get an original receipt that she didn't know she needed to get reimbursed. And that's iffy based on the fact that non-insured will have to follow some kind of formula to whether you get reimbursed. I know there's a process, but for an elder to pull $250 out of her pocket to pay for that is crazy. I couldn't do that. I think that if our doctors are sending our elders off reserve for testing and things like that, that maybe administrating the non-insured program could work with the clinics to somehow have that paid prior to our guaranteed payment. Politically, I'd like to ask you to consider changing the formula so that the non-insured benefits are paid for what we need in Akwesasne and not what Health Canada determines we should be paying for. I would respectfully ask for you to consider those options. My next one is the fiber to the home. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend the last session that was held virtually. And we continue to see how difficult it is for us to take part in some sessions because we keep losing connectivity. And that's all about what this fiber is for, right? But would it be possible to have flyers, mail out updates put in our mailboxes so that we can read it and the elders can read it and we can get an idea of what's going on based on the fact that I couldn't make the session and I don't know if you had a large turnout or not, but I'm hoping that we could see that too as well. And those that are on public safety, could we have the police commission start meeting with the community over the period of time? A lot of the questions being put to your council or any council were regards to operations of policing. police commission are indeed the ones responsible for the operation. So I wonder if they would start public meetings. Thank you. That's it. Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. And we will definitely follow up on the items that you have raised with relation to the non-insured health benefits to see we can take a look as to why that's happening. I'll ask that if you have the elder reach out to us, or you reach out to one of our members and provide the names so that we can get down to the more of the specifics of how this happened to be able to fix the scenario, the situation. The fiber to the home will definitely speak with our folks to see what sort of communications they're doing now to the community. Of course, if there's not any activity happening, then it's, you know, it may not be beneficial to continue to update, but we will look into that as well to see what regular updates can be provided and what means to the community via you know, paper mailers, what have you. And the police commission item as well, we can take a look at that to look at how we can incorporate more transparent mechanisms into the police commission, but as well into other commissions and committees that operate under the Mohawk Council. Thank you for that. Kylie, go ahead.
Yeah, so just to provide clarification, thank you, Connie. We're actually working on another flyer and mail out for the District of Sny. So that should be coming within the next week or two. So we're just finalizing that.
You know, for that, Kylie.
Great, thank you, Kylie.
Okay, Julie, we're gonna go to you.
Just Kylie, could I also ask that be distributed to Ganadigo as well as, because we have such low numbers here, just so that people have an understanding of what it is and what it is that they're signing up for. Yeah.
Yes, Julie. So we've actually attempted twice for mailers for the District of Ganadigo, and the post office keeps spamming it and not distributing it. So we actually have to go basically door by door. So that's our next step. We just posted it on our Facebook page, which increased the amount of signups by 25. So we're progressing, but yes, we'll be going door by door. And Chief Jacobs actually offered to assist with the door knocking.
All right, thank you very much.
He has a good fast bike. He can do that.
I use the pedals sometimes, Chief Tim.
Sometimes.
All right, thank you to Ganadigo. Very easy to go door to door in Ganadigo, not always so easy in all the other districts. Your battery on your bike will be kaput by the time you get to East Cornwall Island or Sugarbush to Connie's. There was a question that was received earlier on from the community in relations to the special needs file. And, you know, we had started a special needs working group. There was a consultant hired. There was a number of sessions that had been done. I'm going to ask one of the members who participated in that to provide us with a quick update where that file is at.
I'll do that. So our special needs strategic plan that we have been, as Grand Chief said, meeting about and for and trying to wrap up, is in its final stages. We are just waiting for approval from the Assistant Executive Director. Other than that, after that, the next steps will be to have that plan implemented. We have already started to implement some of the ideas that are in the strategy, just because the access came aboard, and Jason Lazor had a project that he had in mind, and we jumped on board and we said that it fit perfect into what we were trying to do with our special needs strategic plan. So we met with Performance Plus rehabilitative care people from there, and they're doing up a proposal, I guess, for us to go over and to see if we can implement that within our organization with our employees, so that our employees, we have a nice basis of understanding with our employees on what special needs are, how to handle them, how to, you know, how to work, how to, all of the things that the education part of our, of having individuals come into the workforce that may have needs that are not, that are outside of what we do right now. And so they'll be hopefully starting that within the next few months. And I don't know if I mentioned, but Jason had put in a proposal so that he received some monies. So we're able to tap into that and get that off the ground. So I was very excited to have that meeting with him last week so that the idea and all the ideas that we've had from the community and trying to get this off the ground, you know, looks like it's going to go in a good direction. We also have support from the executive director on with the Performance Plus rehabilitative plan. So I'm looking forward, and hopefully next month we'll be able to do a presentation on the strategic plan, and we should have the proposal on what that'll look like also from PR. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for that update. And again, that was a question that was received on the special needs file. So thank you to you and the other committee members for keeping this going forward. The other question we received was in relation to Macomber Road South. There seems to be a concern in relation to streetlights, that there's some very dark areas that either need streetlights installed, as well as either updated or repaired to ensure that you know, the apartments, the Family Wellness Center, Jingunusude, and the area is kept well lit for safety reasons. I just want to go to one of the IHE portfolios to give us an update if this project, or if there is a project to increase lighting in the area of Macomber Road South. Vince, we'll go to you.
Yeah, Grand Chief. Yes, this has been discussed numerous times now. We have a meeting coming up with MTO, and that's who contributed some funds to get the street lighting initiative started. We lit up from the Crossroads to the Arena Road, Phillips Hop Memorial Road, which was well received. So we're looking to light up other areas of concern that's being put forward to us by community members. So there is a street light strategy going on right now that we're looking at. And first and foremost, we have to get a street lighting design consultant to actually design the street lighting, so that way the lights shine on the roadway. What type of what do you call that, illumination of areas have to be looked into, so that way we're not lighting up people's yards where they can't sleep at night, and make sure that the lights are actually on the roadway, not in neighboring houses. So that's all going on. I think it got stalled a bit by the election that happened, and I'm waiting for us to have a portfolio meeting, so that way we can have all hands on deck and actually put some movement into this initiative to get some results in the near future.
For that update on that. I see, Rhonda, you have your hand up, so we're going to go to you.
Okay, speaking as a community member from Macomber Road, just wondering if in your design or consultant that you have engaged, there are street lightings now that only go full force when it detects movement, and they'll actually dim down, and in some cases even turn off. So I'm wondering if you have that in your thought pattern, just in like energy savings and a lower carbon footprint.
Yeah, I think once we get together, we can take all those into consideration as the design's going. We more than likely will utilize the same consultant that we used in the past, but this is something that we can look into. And there was also discussions, minor discussions, on some of the lighting that's happening in certain areas where there's additional poles have to be installed, where we can go to solar panel lighting that can help with the offset of cost of electrical power, or even supplying electrical power to these lights. So for your input.
Thank you. Connie, I see you have a question. We'll go to you.
Thank you, Grand Chief. Chief Thompson, will this include all districts?
Yes, the street lighting strategy, there's a mapping that I've shared in the past that includes all districts.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that update and the question on the streetlights. Okay, so that is the questions that we have received thus far. Again, we ask that any questions ahead of time, please be sent to meetings@akwesasne.ca so that we are able to ensure that your questions are answered this evening at the general meeting. So I'm now going to move to the last piece of business that we have, and that is the resolution for the general meeting of August 5th, 2021, accepting the minutes. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Vanessa, second by Tim. Discussion on the resolution.
Question.
Question has been called on the resolution. All those in favor? Any against the resolution? There is none against, and the resolution is carried. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, this has brought us to the end of our meeting of September 23rd, our regular general meeting. Our next general meeting will be October 28th, and again, we'll be on the Zoom system as we've been doing for the last several months, or well over a year at this point. On behalf of myself, I want to thank all of you for joining in this evening. Again, this is recorded. We will have it available next week on our social media platforms for your review. The material that we shared this evening is available. We will send an email out to all of you so that you can download and read that at your leisure. Should you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to one of your members of council to discuss and receive additional information should you want that. So otherwise, I will entertain a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting. Moved by Julie, second by Vanessa. So go to all of you and have a great evening, and we'll see you in about a month's time. Ona.